Last week, my friends and I headed down to the local spaceport to see about getting a shuttle to Batuu so we could check out Oga's Cantina. Little did we know that getting there was going to be quite the adventure. Now, if you're not familiar with Oga's, it's on Batuu, which is right about here. Before our shuttle departed, I ran back into the port to grab an extra battery for my datapad. While in there, I noticed the crowd was all watching this young lady on the holovision who was talking about some kind of resistance or something. Now, I'm not much into politics, so I wasn't paying too close attention, but she did have a sense of urgency in her voice. I made it back out to the loading platform just as they were starting to board. After takeoff, we listened to our captain giving us some particulars about the journey. And maybe it was just me, but something about him seemed a little fishy. Anyway, all of a sudden, TIE fighters and a Star Destroyer appeared out of nowhere. We were caught in a tractor beam and pulled into the large ship and forced to disembark the shuttle. The hangar deck was huge, and I have to tell you, it was a little bit intimidating seeing that platoon of stormtroopers there, staring at us, watching us. They marched us deeper into the ship and must have walked for about 10 minutes before we found ourselves in a holding area with the other travelers. And we were being interrogated by officers of the First Order. They asked us if we were in the Resistance, but we said no, we were just on our way to Oga's for some drinks. But they were having none of that. They put us in a holding cell with some of the people I had seen back in the terminal who were listening to that nice hologram girl talk about the Resistance. We tried to make calls on our datapads, but of course had no signal. Suddenly, one of the walls started glowing red and soon a huge hole appeared. Apparently those folks who were involved with this Resistance thing had friends on the inside, and we were happy to follow them out. We hurriedly boarded these vehicles with a droid driver and started making our way through the ship. It wasn't long before they realized we had escaped and alarms were going off and we were dodging stormtroopers and laser blasts. We passed through a huge cargo area that had giant military walkers. And then encountered this guy, all in black with some type of laser sword, and man was he angry. We headed in the opposite direction and passed some observation windows and saw this huge space battle happening all around us. Around the next bend, there was Angry Laser Sword Guy again, who seemed even angrier than the first time we saw him a few minutes ago. Just as he was about to jump into our vehicle, a huge explosion rocked the ship, which gave us a chance to escape. We made it to an emergency pod and jettisoned away from the ship and down to a pretty rough landing on the planet below. Happy that we escaped, but having no clue where we are, we decided to follow some of the Resistance folks into town. As luck would have it, we passed a used spaceship lot and decided to see if we could pick up something cheap. We toured this old cargo ship that didn't look like much, but it was flyable, had a pretty cool holographic chess table, and the price was right. Now my friends had about 10 hours of pilot time between them, but the controls seemed pretty straightforward, so we strapped in and prepared for takeoff. I was a little concerned that the flight to Batuu would take forever, but the salesman had mentioned something about this ship making the Kessel run in 12 parsecs. 12 parsecs. Maybe when it was brand new. Amazingly, though, the ship was pretty fast, and after one quick jump to light speed, we were above Batuu. We had to circle around a few times before we found a place to park, but finally we did on the edge of the outpost, and man, was it good to be on the ground again. The outpost was a bustle of activity, and we made our way over to the marketplace, just to see if we could find a few souvenirs to bring home to our friends and family. And like a good tourist, I grabbed a few selfies with some of the locals. I figured I should pick up a souvenir for my wife, and I saw these, not really sure what they were, but they're kind of cute, she'd probably like it. We left the market with a bag full of souvenirs, and off to the left, I could have sworn I saw Angry Laser Sword Guy again. Man, that dude is persistent. And we continued on to Oga's. It didn't look like much from the outside, but once inside, we heard a techno beat from the droid DJ and could sense a magical vibe in the air. We used our datapads to access the menu, which had a large selection of tempting exotic concoctions, like a Blue Bantha, the Goba Slug Slinger, Blacke Spire Brew, and many others. Our drinks arrived, and we celebrated our success and anxiously downed these tantalizing elixirs. My good friend DJ T ordered a Jabba juice, which had fresh eggs from the wort that was stored in the tank above the bar. A little too adventurous for me. We decided on a second round before starting to think about making our way back home. This time we chose Carbon Freezes. This little pub in the Outer Rim truly lived up to its reputation of serving the best cocktails in the quadrant. But if you want to journey out to Oga's, I suggest you make a reservation well in advance, as it's a pretty popular place. Maybe the day's adventure made these drinks taste even better, and as we watched them bubble and smoke, we toasted our luck and the new friends we made today. We definitely had gotten a taste for adventure, and I started to think about that girl in the hologram. Maybe I would find out more about this resistance thing. Well, as our new friends say, may the force be with you.